Hey everybody, Sean here from Somm Wine Club, and I have got some wine for you. This is the 2023 Pascal Bouchard Réserve Saint-Pierre Bourgogne Aligoté. Pascal Bouchard is a Chablis producer. They're based in the Yonne in the north of Burgundy and are specialists in Chablis and Grand Auxerrois wines. This, however, is not Chablis, and it's not even Chardonnay, actually. This is Bourgogne Aligoté. Aligoté is a second white grape of Burgundy. For much of its history, it's kind of been considered a lesser variety in Burgundy, even though through a good majority of its time being produced, it has been planted in some of the best sites and right alongside Chardonnay. The style of the wines tended to be a little bit leaner, a little bit more austere, not quite as flavorful or complex as Chardonnay, and so it was kind of just not given the attention that it really needed in order to elevate to the level of some of these premier Chardonnay of Burgundy. Well, that has changed kind of over the past 20 years or so, 25 years even. And a lot of that has to do with premium producers like Pascal Bouchard really getting behind the variety and producing examples that are highly elegant, expressive, and have their own unique character, like this one does. So this is coming from selected parcels of clay and limestone soil in the north of Burgundy, in Auxerrois, and a little bit kind of around the Yonne and into the north of Burgundy as well. It's done all in stainless steel to really preserve that freshness and that brightness that you get from Aligoté. And 2023 was a good vintage for Burgundy, but it had some challenges. There was hail in central Burgundy, there was challenges with heat spikes, and so having some fruit coming from the northern parts of the region where things were a little bit more restrained and cool, I think has really helped give this wine length, complexity. In addition to all of that flavor that you get from a warm vintage, it still retains all of its freshness and its energy. The winemaker for Pascal Bouchard is Florent Denuil. He's been there for over 20 years, and this particular wine, their Bourgogne Aligoté, has been made for pretty much his entire tenure, so if not longer. So they really, really know what they're doing. I think this is great. So it does have something that reminds of Burgundy, but it also is totally different. It doesn't have the same kind of, I don't want to say depth, but it's definitely more steely, a little bit more mineral driven, and not unlike some really good examples of Chablis in how it kind of shows a lot more chalky mineral note up front versus the ripeness of fruit that you can get in warm vintage Chardonnay and Burgundy. Now there is ripeness and there is warmth to the fruit here. There's lots of peaches, lots of apricot. There is a kind of a pretty ripe pear, apple, floral note as well. But it's all definitely kind of wrapped up in this steely mineral package, which I think is great. Like I said, this is done all in stainless steel. It spends 8 months in stainless steel and élevage just to kind of let some of those components, the minerality and all of the acidity, integrate into the wine. The fruit is a lot more present on the palate. You get that ripeness of that stone fruit, that kind of underripe apricot, white peach note. And then as the wine kind of sits and the acidity starts to build in your mouth, you feel kind of the stones, the rocks, the chalk, the saltiness, the mineral character of the wine. And then it fades out gracefully into this very refreshing, bright, clean, ripe, citrusy, zesty finish, which I just think is great. I think they've managed to balance ripeness and freshness really, really well here in a challenging vintage with a grape variety that is known to be a little bit up here in terms of acidity and sharpness. They've managed to soften that with ripeness of fruit and complexity, and this is super well balanced and drinking incredibly well right now. Aligoté is a little bit culty in terms of like the sommelier community because Burgundy has gotten so expensive. You can find great examples of Aligoté which still give you Burgundy terroir and Burgundy character without Burgundy price, and that's really appealing to wine professionals who are on a budget. And then it also makes a spectacular food wine with all of that acidity and balanced flavors. This is definitely your fresh shellfish, seafood wine, grilled seafood, halibut, cod, creamy pasta dishes with seafood like lobster or prawns. You really have enough richness to stand up to flavors that are as intense as those, but also kind of wipe some of that fat off of the palate and give you the opportunity for a cleaner, brighter bite. Yeah, moving into kind of cooler fall weather, seafood dishes take on a little bit more richness for me anyway. I do a lot more creaminess and helping kind of cut through that with a wine that basically acts as like this beautiful squeeze of lemon to balance the fat is super useful for the style of dining and style of food that's going to be on a lot of our dinner tables anytime soon. I think that everybody's going to really enjoy this. If this is your first experience with Aligoté, uh, I'm hoping you're pleasantly surprised. If you have this interpretation or this impression of Aligoté from years past, where it was like it was basically undrinkable unless you mixed it with creme de cassis, I'm really hoping that this changes your mind and shows you kind of some of the more elevated side of a fantastic Burgundy grape variety. So there we are, Pascal Bouchard Bourgogne Aligoté Réserve Saint-Pierre. I hope that everybody enjoys. We'll see you guys next time.